What's up my loves, my name is Paige, this is Pages with Paige, and today we're going to be doing my wrap up for the month of April. So, in the month of April, the Magical Readathon happened and hot damn! I got on a reading roll and had so much fun and read so much. It was just a fabulous time. I was originally going for the alchemist career path, but I did have like 5 others that I was interested in. I finished all 14 prompts, so we'll just see where I end up going for the next round and our fall equinox. How I did this, not sure. Ash is probably rather neglected, but I had a lot of fun. So let's dive into the stats. In the month of April, I read 22 books, which equated to 7,044 pages. What the actual fuck? This is more than my Animorphs month where I read 34 books and 6,500 pages. What? My average pages per day was 235. And there were a few days where I read 0 to maybe 100 pages. So what? And my average pages per book was 320, which there is one outlier and a few little ones that make it balanced to where I would like it to be. My average rating was 4.27, which is good. It was higher up, and then I started a series and it didn't change too much, but it did go down just a fraction. In terms of genres, I read 1 dystopian, 7 fantasy, 2 horror, 8 paranormal, 1 romance, 1 sci-fi, and 2 thrillers. So a very genre diverse reading month for me, but still holding on to that fantasy and paranormal genre type, which I'm happy with. In terms of format, I read 1 audio, 3 ebooks, 2 physical books, 15 physical and audio book combinations, and 1 ebook audio combination. In terms of age range, I read 10 adults, 1 new adult, 9 YA, which was when my ratings started to go down slightly, was when I started picking up the YA, and 2 middle grade. For ratings, I had 5 5 stars, which just fills me with joy. 6 4.5, 8 4 stars, 2 3.5s, and 1 3 star. I read 6 standalones. I started 5 new series. I used 11 books to continue on with the series, so out of that 11, I was continuing on with 5 different series, which is much better. For my big book, I read The Stand, which was 1,211 pages, and for my smallest, it was The Little Free Library, which was 13 pages. My listening hours is the highest it's been at 58 hours last month. Glorious! Most of that was The Stand. In terms of publication, I read 1 book that was published in 1978, 3 published between 1996 and 2000, 7 between 2006 and 2010, 1 between 2011 and 2015, 6 between 2016 and 2020, and 3 published in 2021. That just blows my mind at the pages that I was reading per day. I had quite a few shorter things to sort of guide me along, and then I dived into a series which were 250 to 400 pages max. So yes, let's dive into the books themselves because I read some bangers. The first thing I decided to pick up was A Spindle Splintered by Alex E. Harrow. This was going towards spells and incantations for Magical Readathon, and I gave this a 4.5. This is a Sleeping Beauty, like, twisted into the Spider-Verse sort of multiverse story, all based around Sleeping Beauty, and I am so excited to see where it goes next. If we're following the same protagonist from this one, or if we're switching to another fairy tale. It's the Fractured Fables series, and I am keen. Like, this was everything I wanted a short collection of Sleeping Beauty stories to be. I can understand why people wouldn't vibe with it, but it was exactly my kind of vibes, and anything Sleeping Beauty I'm probably going to be very into, but it wove so many different kinds of mythology in this short period of time that it was just so awesome to read, and I'm so excited to continue on with the next renditions that come out. Next, I read Before the Coffee Gets Cold by by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. So this was originally going to be for animal studies, yes, which was a quick read, but I have switched it to shapeshifting as a cat has claws on the covers, and nothing else that I read this month did, and I read something else that would take the place of this. So for this one, I gave it a 4.5 as well. This is 4 short stories, all based around this cafe and being able to sit in a chair and travel in time. So there are a lot of rules, and it hasn't become sensationalized because it's so hard to do that not many people stick with it. The stories in this are beautiful. I think it was exceptionally written. I felt for all of the characters. The last story hit me hard and I was definitely tearing up. There was just 1 or 2 elements that I was like, okay, this isn't necessary and we could have done something else with it, but I still had so much engagement in these characters in the short time that they were with that it was so stunning, and I can't wait for Ash to read it and us to be able to have a discussion about it. Then I read Little Free Library by Naomi Kitsa. This is a short story that Erin recommended for my Buzzword challenge because it has little in the title. It is 13 pages and it was really engaging. This was for elemental studies for the Magical Readathon and I gave it a 4 stars. It was really cute and I love the premise of Little Free Libraries. I love their idea. I love going and visiting, and having this short story just based off a sort of paranormal aspect to it was just so beautiful and cute. Obviously I wanted more, and it's hard to convey so much in 13 pages. So for me, I adored it, but I also wanted so much more, and I feel like there could have been so much in depth if it had been a full-fleshed short story rather than just a little snippet. So that's why I gave it 4 stars, but it was so cute and I just really loved the twist and turn that happened within it. Then I read Let Me Lie by Claire Mackintosh, which was the last in my January of 2021 5-star predictions by Claire Mackintosh. This was for Artificiary and I gave this 5 stars. I don't read thrillers a lot, so I am very biased in my rating because I haven't experienced that many, so I feel like they're shocking, they're twisting and turning because I'm not well read in the genre to be able to see if it's become cliched or anything like that. But this had me on the edge of my seat. I find the twists and turns in it just so fascinating. The characters were just so, what the hell is happening? This is glorious, and I just absolutely devoured it. It was so thrilling and captivating. Again, I don't know if this would be a 5-star for well-versed thriller mystery readers, but for me, I loved it. And I apologize that I'm not going into excessive amount of detail about these. I will have a vlog coming out later. Probably need a cup of tea for that, but also I don't want this video to be 30,000 minutes long. Then I read Lore Olympus by Rachel Smythe for the lore prompt of Magical Readathon, and I gave this a 4.5. For this, I think the only reason I'm not giving it higher, and like literally half a point, is I don't know how I feel about the art style. It's not something that I disliked reading, but I was constantly taken out by the art style. So I don't know. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the narrative. I love all the different Hades and Persephone retellings. I love Rachel's take on the story and how they're choosing to address different things. So it was so fun, so cute. But again, I was just like on edge with the art style, I suppose. I know it's not going to be for everyone and it's going to be other people's cup of tea. The story definitely my cup of tea, and just a whole lot of fun. Next up, we had The Beast by Katie Robert, which is the 4th in the Wicked Villains series, and this was for astronomy. 5 stars. Are we surprised? No. Am I a hoe for Katie Roberts? Abso-fucking-lutely. This just glorious. I love seeing the different dynamics between Gaeton and the Beast, and Belle just, whoo! I found it really interesting the way that they worked in the polyamory aspect of it and the initial, or the backstory before leading into this, and the way that it shapes the dynamic and the conversations that happen within this, and just obviously Beast is just next level I want, and then to have Gaeton who's just like, I'm chill, I'll do whatever, but please don't break my heart. And then Isabel's strong character and just her personality. It's just gorgeous. So I know people will see Isabel and not like her because she's a, oh, I can't choose. That's the point, and it's glorious. Perfection. Next up, I read Jingo by Terry Pratchett, and this was for Alchemy, and I gave this a 4.5 stars. I didn't enjoy this as much as Feet of Clay. I felt like taking our world further than Ankh-Morpork was interesting, and I was curious to see the different dynamics, the conversations about race and different people interacting in different ways, and the way that they assume different things was awesome. I loved it. But there was just something that I didn't vibe with as strongly as Feet of Clay for this. So that's why I gave it a 4.5 rather than a 5 star. I love Terry Pratchett's commentary and comedy. He's just expertly crafted these books, and the characters are super, super wonderful. I feel very dear to all of them. I know some of them are slightly concerning. Knobs, I'm looking at you, but I have so much fun when I'm in this world and with these characters, and it's just a grand old time. And I'm learning stuff as I go along because Terry likes to throw in that sort of commentary, which I adore. Next up, we have The Stand by Stephen King, which was for Inscription, which is an intimidating read. On my ratings, it's a 4 star. Mostly because I can't bring myself to have trudged through this and give it less. So it's more a 3.5. I have many thoughts, and thankfully there was the Discord group doing the Stand By Me-a-thon, otherwise I would be in trouble right now. But I loved the different dynamics between the characters. I loved the figureheads, I suppose, for each side. The plague aspect of it in the first 200 pages was unnerving as all fuck. Like, oh damn, that hit hard when going through a pandemic, and just the spread and the way that people were just dropping dead. There was one chapter that was so confronting because it was talking about people who have died, not by the sickness, but rather by just natural causes. But it's like, all these people are dying from the plague, but people are still gonna die from natural causes. So, what? Yes, okay, cool. There are so many things to deconstruct from this, and I know that the reading experience was more enjoyable than reading it, but there was so much waffle. There was so many unnecessary events that it was painful. I don't think I ever truly felt disengaged though. There was sections that felt like a slog, but I knew that I was happy to keep going, and breaking into 80 pages a day chunks, best way to tackle this. Also having a buddy read to be able to talk to people about it and to have them motivate you was also fantastic. But with it, it's an undertaking. I'm curious to see with King's wider works where particular characters end up, because I know that this ties in to the Gunslinger series, I believe. Yeah, it was an experience. Let's go with that. The ending really shit me off, but also was done to a way that I expect King to end his narrative, so I wasn't disappointed in it because it worked well for what it was. How do I talk about things without spoilers? I made it through this beast. I am proud of everyone that stood by us, and I just, whew, on to the next 1,000-page fucking tome. Ow, I just dropped that on my finger. Next up, I have The One by John Mars. So this was for Psionics and Divination. Ha! Oh, holy shit! This was 5 stars as well. Again, don't know if it would be a 5 star for everyone, especially well-versed thriller readers, but I just found this was so engaging. I did not see the ending. Ash had to deal with me going, what the fuck? And like half near throwing this across the room because I was just in shock and awe, and it was just so captivating. I could not put it down or stop listening to it, and it flew through. I think the best thing about this is that it's multiple perspective, so, and they're really short, quick perspectives. So you're in one section, you're really interested, boom, next person, okay, here we go, and we're writing along that, and then we get back to the other person and it's like, holy shit, that's going on, oh yeah, fuck, oh my god, ah! And it just keeps you so enthralled the entire way. So fun, so fucked up, but I loved it. So yes, definite 5 star for this. I swear to god, if anything like this actually happens in real life, I would keel over. One thing I found really interesting was the discussions on when marriages break apart because of taking a DNA test and finding out that you're not fated to be together. But interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Next up, we have Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne for Demonology. This is my first John Gwynne and I am impressed. I'm giving it a 4.5 and that is purely a me thing rather than the book thing. And it was mostly because I was listening to the audiobook and not following along consistently. And the names really tripped me up. It is based off Norse mythology, which is so fascinating, and I loved all the interwoven parts of it. But the names, goddamn, I struggled. So listening to it definitely helped, but there was just so many different things all happening at once that when John was describing like action scenes and this person did this and this was over here and they were over there and who, what, hey, what, because I wasn't following along, I was like, who the fuck did what now? Totally a me problem for not actually following along as I was reading, and that would have clarified it. So it would have just clarified it. It would have been fine. I acknowledge that that is my fault. I cannot wait to continue on with Hunger of the Gods, I believe, which is the second one, because I'm so interested by all the different kind of mythology that John has woven together in this. And for Shadow of the Gods, this was a buddy read with Jacqueline from Jaxie Jax Reads, and this was to be able to fill out my Advent challenge, which is to read a book that has a shadow in the title, because we were planning this buddy read last year, so she knew to make this a prompt. So let's fill out our Cool Go Butt sticker. So here we go, just up the top here. And there we go. Yay! Oh, we're getting closer. I love this so much. Next, I read The Gracia by Kim Liggett. So this was a buddy read with Liv from Endless Pages. I wasn't sure if I was going to get to it this month and then had a fantastic reading month, so I managed to get to it. This is also Crystal from Bomb Book Review's recommendation book for my Advent challenge. So let's mark that off and then I'll talk through the book. Sorry, another call go. And so I've got Gracia there. On we go. Yay! I love this so much. Best decision ever. So The Gracies, I ended up giving 5 stars. This was exactly the kind of book that I love that deals with feminist topics, and when living in a patriarchal society, how to challenge those and come into your own. There was a mystery element to it. There was magic. It was witchy. There was so many different aspects of it that I adored. I love seeing the different way in which girls approach their Gracia and what the discussions are around that. The ending, yep, this was harrowing to read. It was like a witchy Lord of the Flies, which I loved. I'm very keen to pick up more Kim Liggett. I know that this is like the only book of its kind that she's written, but holy shit, it was so good. And I felt so much for these characters. I would like to go into more in-depth discussion about this, so please let me know if you are happy for me to DM you so I can scream about it as I did with Liv, because I am not okay and still need to vent about this because it was 5 fucking fantastic stars, but goddamn. And this was for Art of Illusion for the Magical Readathon. Then I was like, okay, I have 3 prompts for Magical Readathon left and I know that my self-destruct books are coming up. So I ended up picking up Masquerade by Melissa Dela Cruz, which I gave 4 stars because it was actually really enjoyable and I've heavily invested in these characters now. But the thing is, I then also picked up Revelations and gave that 4 stars. I could not tell you the separate storylines of this, as you will see as we progress. I read these 2 next and had a grand old time with them. Then I figured, you know what, actually I should probably check off my Magical Readathon prompts before I get too invested. So I read Hearts in the Hard Ground by G.V. Anderson, which again was another tall short story, and this was for A Source of Light on the cover for Conjuration. And I gave this a 4.5. It was really creepy and there was so many things that it touched on within a short period of time that was done so well. And like, this is the length that I'd be happy with Free Little Library being, because it was 44 pages and just had that little extra depth to it that was just so captivating, and I had so many feelings just seeing where it was all going, what was happening, whether it was as fucked up as it was meant to be or if it was, you know, just mental things. It was brilliant. I had so such a good time reading this, and yeah, I know that it's one of Erin from Shiver and Shelves' favorites, so she recommended it and I had a glorious time with it. Then I read The Conspiracy by K.A. Applegate. So this was the book that I swapped out Before the Coffee Gets Cold with to act as Animal Studies, which is a quick read, because originally I was going to count the talons as claws, but they're not, so did a switch. This is book 31 in the Animal series. I'm really struggling to find the motivation to continue since the audiobooks are not coming out at the moment. And I gave this a 3.5. I think it was interesting, but I don't feel like the characters kept true to form, and understandably you are going through trauma. There is a lot that is unfolding, but I just felt it wasn't true to form. And so I enjoyed it. I had a good time reading it, always do with these, but again, sort of a bit of a filler book, but also kind of important. So yeah, hard on that one, but 3.5, had a good time. Not my favorite out of them by any stretch of the imagination, but overall good. And then I read The Van Allen Legacy, which is book 4 in the Blue Bloods series, and gave this 4 stars. I then read Keys to the Repository, which is book 4.5, and I gave this a 3 stars. This is plot. This is literally just rehashing the characters as we know them, and like providing a little bit of backstory to some people, but not really, and pretending that like this is just a character performer. And Melissa De La Cruz's note says that they were inspired by King, who sort of draw all them together and making companion books. So yeah, I was bored the entire time. Probably a 2.5, but ugh. It was super quick and easy to read, but I knew all the information that was in there. It didn't offer anything new, and so it felt like a waste of time and a cash grab. But I persevered and I read Misguided Angels, which is book 5 in the series, and gave this a 3.5 because it was a lot better and I had a much more enjoyable reading experience. We were back in the plot and we found out more of the backstory, which I was really interested in, so that made it a much more enjoyable experience than Keys to the Repository. Honestly, you can skip Keys to the Repository, you aren't missing any crucial information or anything. Then I decided, you know what, I should probably finish off my TBR. So I read City of Ashes by Cassandra Clare, and I gave this a 4 stars. The one plot line that everyone knows about with this series is so fucking infuriating, but the rest of everything else is so good. I have so much fun with Luke and Magnus. I have fun with Isabel. Simon's character progression in this was awesome. I had a lot of fun meeting new characters, but god damn, Clary and Jace, just choices are made that I do not agree with. And it is frustrating as fuck when they're like, oh. I'm like, piss off. Let's get back to the good shit. But when there's good shit, it's good shit. I'm very curious to actually have the discussion with Amy and Danielle from the Bookstar Reads, as this was our Bookstar and Read book for the month. I'm so curious to see how everyone got along with it, because I had fun with it, but again, that plotline is just driving me up the wall. And then I read Bloody Valentine, which is book 5.5 in the Blue Blood series. This is exactly what I wanted Keys to the Repository to be, and I gave it 4 stars for that reason. This is a collection of short stories that provide context and background to the overall plot. They make it interesting, it's engaging, and it's quick. I was not bored at all during this and found it super thrilling to actually see what I had wanted to get from Keys. So this is a must if you do want to read the companion novels, as it provides more context and just makes it all make a little bit more sense. You do find out as the series progresses, but yes. Whew! Then we're almost there. Thank you for bearing with me. I apologize. I should have told you to get a cup of tea or a drink or a snack before we begun this journey. So then at the last day of April, Amy's from A Star Reads, my one true dearest, she is having her 1K celebration and is doing a 48-hour readathon, which is the Game of Life readathon. Game of Bookish Life. So for that, we got given prompts. For the easy mode, you needed to find a book with an animal companion. If you wanted to challenge yourself, it was a middle grade with an animal companion. So I picked up Cardcaptor Sakura Volume 1 by Clamp, and holy shit, this is nostalgic vibes. I adored this and gave it 5 stars. Reading this was like coming home. I adore the anime with my entire heart and being. Ash and I haven't actually watched any more episodes. I think we got up to episode 3, but they are subbed, and for me, when we're eating dinner, I need to look down at my plate. So we need to continue on. This has inspired me to continue on again because it's such a fun story. There is a very problematic plotline with her parents being a 16-year-old and a 25-year-old, and her love interest is 16 and she is 9. So please be aware of that going in if that is something that is concerning for you. The nostalgic vibes of this series, I love it so much. Cerberus fills me with joy. Cardcaptor, joy. Our queer side character that is actually queer, that I did not know was queer because English changed it in the actual anime. Brilliant! I love this so much, and I'm so thankful to my sister's partner for getting this for me for Christmas so I could use it for this and just devour it and have a lovely time with it. And I need to go buy all the other volumes like yesterday. And then, my dear friends, I read Lost in Time, which is book 6 out of 7. I didn't realize that my audiobook was due back late yesterday for the last book, and so I prioritized Cardcaptor Sakura, thinking, you know what, I'll be able to get through all of them. Watch as she did not get through all of them. I got to this, it's 4 stars. I'm really curious to see how the final book concludes. It has set a lot of groundwork to be quite an explosive ending, and I'm keen. So, I'm so mad at myself. I have 1 book left in this goddamn series. I read books 2 to 6 plus 2 companions. It's fine. I'm fine. Like I said, this was actually really engaging. We get to see another perspective that has been overshadowed in the previous books, which was explained in Bloody Valentine and then continued on in this. So that was super engaging and grand old time. The series is just good nostalgic fun, and I can't believe I didn't fucking finish. Let's see if I can break my body trying to show you this, because that would be fun. So this plus a few others are what I read in the month of April. What the actual fuck? My wrist is breaking. I am so happy with how Magical Readathon went. I love the Magical Readathon, and it really inspires me to pick up as many books as humanly possible, which I think I have accomplished. Let me know in the comments how your April went. Did you participate in any readathons? And if you were participating in the Magical Readathon, what was your career? Also, let me know what the best book you read last month was. If you like this video, feel free to give it a big thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more of this mess, feel free to subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you in my next video. Bye!